Hey guys, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the bowl throwing yesterday. I don't always show this part, and a lot of people don't know this part even exists. This is the trimming part. If you notice, yesterday one of the bowls that I made, I had said had an air bubble in the bottom. And you can see the funky little thing that occurred. So this pot specifically is not going to be able to get a foot, so we're actually going to skip this one. But we have from one of my other takes, we've got this sort of medium-sized bowl. It's thick enough on the bottom, gives me enough room here to put a good foot on it. So we're going to start there. I was prepared this time, I thought. I had my tools all ready. So what we do is we're first going to figure out where our foot's going to go. So we know that it starts to be super thick right around here. So we make a mark here, and then we where the foot's going to go, which is going to be right around here, and the inside of the foot's going to go there. That's going to give us a nice bit of roundness underneath to make the bowl lift off of the table. So I don't normally use a bat to trim, but this one specifically is bigger than the bat pins, and I don't like to take my bat pins off, so they probably wouldn't come off. So I'm going to use a bat. Actually, I'm going to flip it the other way around. Now, not everything needs a foot. When you're throwing your pot, you kind of decide if your pot's going to have a foot on it or not, and that helps you determine how thick the base is. If you guys remember, if you watched yesterday, I try and keep everything about a ½ an inch thick so that I know that I can put a foot on it. I always put some sort of hidden foot, which I can explain in another video. What I'm doing now, for those who don't take classes or don't make pottery, is I'm actually centering the clay. I'm trying to get the pot right into the middle of the wheel, which I've done in my own sort of wonky way by drawing circles. I'm going to go ahead and attach that to my wheel. Now, you either love trimming or you hate trimming. Some people think it's magical. Some people find it nerve-wracking. Some people find it scary. So I did get this new sort of leggy thing here. I'm not really sure how to use it yet, so we're gonna play around. All right, guys, I'm back. I have figured this thing out. Now I'm gonna trim the pot. All right, so it's been attached to the wheel. Now I'm gonna take my big loop tool. There's a couple of different types. There's ones that go straight across. Those cause a chatter. It's a whole technical term. It causes the tool to jump a little and create a texture. We're not aiming for that. So I always try and choose this big round tool. It's actually the tool that comes with the cheap starter set. A lot of you guys know who know me as a potter. I'm a 5-tool human. They don't even have to be good quality tools. All right, so my wheel's going relatively fast. And what I'm doing is I'm first getting rid of the excess clay from that mark to that mark. The biggest mistake you can make with trimming is going too slow. So right around here is where I'm going to have my foot begin. So I just want to get rid of this excess stuff now. So there's a lot of different opinions of when you trim your pot. Italian leather, Fava leather, definitely never bone dry. I like it when you touch your clay and it doesn't move. When it's too wet, what'll end up happening is you're going to gouge out parts of your clay. So I don't mind it being what I consider Fava leather, for those who remember Fava toy stores. All right, now I'm going to start the foot. So I use this squared off edge here. Put my finger right next to where I want it to go, so it's kind of stopping it from losing control. I use the corner, and I start to dig down. Now, this is why it's important to learn your pot before you start. You want to know how thick that actually is? Like I said, I try and start with a ½ an inch thick, so I know I have enough clay to create the foot. Now, this part here, this is going to take small little pieces of clay off. What it does is I can go back. Now, which tool to use when really is just experience. I don't really think about it before I do it. I know that if I've got a lot to do, I'm going to use the bigger tool. If I've got detail to do, I'm going to do the smallest tool. Now, it was super important for me before I started to know what the inside of my pot looked like. I want the outside to look like the inside at all times. Again, it's going to look like a slab of clay shaped into something if it was cut in half. Now, I try really hard to never ever trim from here to here. That's the part that's supposed to be thrown well. So we want to avoid that, but I guess I have to go a little lower, so I'm cheating a little. I never ever ever trim this part of the pot. You're never going to get it flat. So now I want to do the inside of the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and dig inside here and get rid of sort of the girth. I use the corner of my tool. The corner of my tool is going to break through that sort of dry skin that's on top. It's going to give me lines, but once I get those lines dug in, I can then go back with the tool here and create a smoother texture, unless you like the lines, because then you can use the corner. I'm going to do another video where I figure out how to use this little tripod thingy from the top. Set up a whole scene here. Now, in theory, how deep should your foot be? The inside of your foot here, should line up with the outside of your foot here. So in theory, if you were to lift this loop of clay off, it should be one smooth transition. Hashtag pottery goals, aesthetic goals, whatever you want to call it. It's ideal. In the beginning, you know, you're just trying to make something look like a foot. Okay. I also tend to bevel the edges. Causes it less likely to chip. So now at this point, you kind of gotta feel like you're calling it a pot or not. Because if you take it off the wheel, I promise you, I do not think you will ever be able to get it back on the wheel in that same exact position. So again, you want to kind of just guess. There's lots of things you can do. You can tap it. Usually the higher the sound, the thinner it is. If you tap it and it dents, you know you've gone too thin. I do not salvage pots, so other people would try and fix it. I am not interested. I'm just going to go ahead and throw another one. The next one will be better. Alright, so I know that I had a little bit more of a round inside than what I had before, so. So you can hear. That's thinner. It's a little nerve-wrackingly thin. Alright, I'm going to call it. This is also when I sign my pot, usually, if I have the right tool with me. And then I carefully lift it up, and there you go. There's my bowl. See how there's enough space underneath here where it looks like it's lifting off of the table? If the foot was all the way out here, it would kind of just sit. That's not really what we want. So that was the trimming the bowl, and I hope you guys have a great Monday. Talk to you soon.